So this week I'm going to do a video I've thought about for a long time, and that is to watch and analyze a full 24 hours of Fox News. I did this a couple years ago with CNN, and it was really interesting to watch from the early morning to the evening to see in real time how the presentation of a story would morph throughout the day. So hopefully this day of Fox reveals something interesting.
President Biden headed to Michigan today to join striking auto workers on the picket line as contract negotiations with Detroit's big three automakers.
Okay, this is going to be a story throughout the day. They're setting up this visit Biden's going to make to a United Auto Workers picket line. So we're going to see how that evolves once he actually makes the visit. But other than that, they focused heavily on crime, immigration right out of the gate, and they teased a Biden gaffe. So at this point, I'm going to split up Fox's stories into roughly 4 categories. Can we blame it on Biden? Democrats suck, crime, and immigration.
4 minutes after the top of the hour.
Time to make the donut.
It's time for Joe Biden to understand the threat that is RFK.
It was in 2016 that Hillary Clinton, in addition to running against Donald Trump, Jill Stein was also she was also running as the Green Party nominee. And I looked it up this morning. Jill Stein got 1%. She siphoned about 500,000 votes.
Third-party stuff. I just did a video about third parties a few weeks ago here on Breaking Points, but it's always interesting to see a topic where Fox and CNN end up sounding exactly the same. And the subject of third parties is one of those. I'm sure the Democrats, and Republicans for that matter, are worried about third-party candidates. They have been for a long time. The entire reason the presidential debates are organized by the Presidential Debate Commission is so that the 2 major parties can shut out third-party candidates. This all changed after Ross Perot shot up in the polls after a 1992 debate, and the Democrats and the Republicans basically got together and said, okay, we're never doing that again. Also, an analysis of 2016 using a voting behavior model estimated that about half of Jill Stein and Gary Johnson voters would have abstained had Stein or Johnson not been in the race.
In 2020, one of the smartest things Democrats did was keep the Green Party off the ballot in Wisconsin.
So to say that Cornel West or RFK will siphon off X number of votes, and sure, they will absorb some, but likely nowhere near as many as pundits freely speculate.
I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Americans say they are feeling the fear. Robberies,
Crime running rampant.
brazen criminals.
Crime. Now, over-reporting on crime is an issue in mainstream media to begin with. Local news, CNN, whatever, there is disproportionate coverage of crime as opposed to other things that may affect more people more deeply. Obviously, everyone wants to feel safe in their community. But Fox takes this really to a different level. Crime in some form or another was covered on almost every single show. The message from Fox is to be tougher on crime. Crime is everywhere. It has to be punished. We are too lenient on criminals. But here's what they miss. One story they spent a lot of time on during this day.
Some 200 businesses are going on strike.
Is a group of stores in Oakland, California, closing to protest the rise in crime. And the big takeaway here is liberal policies have failed. Ending cash bail was a mistake. We shouldn't have defunded the police. But here's the thing. We didn't defund the police. Actually, in Oakland, the police budget had an 18% increase between 2019 and 2022. Oakland is also experiencing a housing and homelessness crisis. Homelessness has more than doubled in the last few years there, and their poverty rate is also higher than average. Systemic disinvestment, poverty, these things are associated with higher crime rates. Locking people into poverty and desperation, say by incarcerating people and thus all but eliminating their chances of getting a good job later on, is not going to help. Yet this is what a Fox viewer is taught. Also, when Fox gets information that goes against their thesis, they just dismiss it. It's really frustrating.
CVS announced it was closing stores as well, a lot of them, 900 by the end of 2024. Now, though the pharmacy chain cited increases in online shopping as the major factor, I don't believe that, crime has got to be a major factor as well.
Operation Don't Let Him Trip. With a physical therapist, Biden's been doing exercises to improve his balance.
He has been wearing tennis shoes more often to avoid slipping.
You know, and you got to wonder, why does he want this job so badly when he's humiliated like that?
This is a top featured story today, but it's peripheral. It's meaningless. You know, this is like doing stuff on how much fast food Trump eats. It doesn't matter. Unfortunately, stories are often shaped around the extent to which they can be used as a cudgel against Biden, meaningful or not.
Biden just became the first sitting president to literally stand with striking workers.
Biden, they're urging the striking auto workers to stick with it.
This was written off as performative. He is not interested in workers.
He spoke for about 15 minutes, spent an hour, left.
If that.
I mean, yeah.
Let's say that's true. That's fine. He shut down the rail strike. Lots of things to pick on with Biden, for sure. But the reporting here was not about the strike. That's what I take issue with. When interviewing workers, they were asked about Biden.
Do you feel like him showing up right now is a show, or is it a show?
It's a show. I think that we want the EVs because it takes away our jobs.
Right.
You know,
right, and for a lot of people, it's just too expensive.
Yeah.
But not about their demands or their working conditions. No, Fox did talk about the workers' demands with former CEO of Chrysler.
Not only started at 46% wage increase, went to 40, then there was a 36, but also I'm gonna get you 40 hours pay for 32 hours a week. I don't know how you build a car when no one's in the factory. We're gonna establish the pension program.
Yeah.
That's impossible to do, to step back.
Fox is a corporate outlet and it favors the corporate perspective. That's the takeaway for me.
Thousands more migrants are on the way, some waving a Venezuelan flag atop a train bound for the U.S.
The border and immigration is essentially Fox's flagship topic. Immigration was covered on almost every single hour of this day's broadcast, and it's freely conflated with the fentanyl crisis. The guests they have on to talk about it were almost all either law enforcement or the wives of law enforcement. Migrants were framed as absorbing resources, invading.
We've always been a nation of immigrants, but never like this. In 1970, only 10 million immigrants lived in America. Today, it's 5 times that number.
They claim that Biden has created an open border policy, where in actuality, Kamala Harris has said,
to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border, do not come. Do not come.
And in fact, the White House announced that it would use its executive authority to sidestep 26 environmental and historical protection regulations in order to build segments of the border wall in Texas, contradicting a campaign-era promise that he would not build another foot of former President Trump's wall. The Biden administration's Do Not Come messaging is at once a response to growing migration in the Americas and a reflection of the Obama administration's mass deportation policy. That will be it for me. Hopefully you found this interesting or helpful. If you did, like, share, subscribe to Breaking Points. You can follow me on Twitter or at my own YouTube channel where I do things like this. And I will see you in the next one.